Samskaras and superpositioning of quantum mechanics. What samskaras are? Samskaras are the thought embedded or imbibed in the consciousness of a person like a seed, and gradually it grows and establishes itself in the deep root of consciousness. And this is something which is entangled, and superpositions of the samskaras are entangled and superpositioned. As the quantum mechanics says, quantum mechanics has to go much longer. But the Vedantic philosophy, Vedic science, already says that sankalp matrin siddhyati yatinam brahma bhavati sarthi. What does it mean? When it says yatinam brahma bhavati sarthi, it means that when we have samskaras, when we have thought, when we have something embedded in our memory, that there is some source, force and power which runs the universe holistically. And that is the ultimate power which is taking care of the minutest of the minutest and grandest of the grandest. Anuraniyan mahato mahiyan. Right? So what does it mean? It means that if samskara are embedded in the consciousness like smriti, then what happens? That smriti, that memory, that node is quantum mechanically entangled with that supreme power which is running the universe. So what happens when it says yatinam brahma bhavati sarthi? So it means that the consciousness which is running the universe and running with the utmost organizing power, ultimate brilliance, ultimate compound perfection, which is creating manifested values of nature, creating in such a perfect way, and it gradually increases, organizes itself, grows to its fullest potential, then merges into that source again. So it means all these, we can observe the nature, we can observe seasons, we can observe how crop grows, we can observe how germination takes place, we can observe in every season how different fruits takes place, different crops, different variety of people, plants, vegetables, vegetation, all sort of things. So it means that intelligence which is running the universe has the brilliant potential and the ultimate perfection. So when a person, the consciousness of a person is entangled quantum mechanically by that supreme consciousness, and those are the terms given in different ancient texts, whatever religion it belongs to. That Paramatma, that ultimate source, and the Atma, the individual impulse, both are not different. It is like a wave of an ocean. Wave of an ocean is not different than the ocean itself. But because of some energies, because of wind, because of different energies, wave goes up. So till wave is going up and so many drops are scattered in the sky, and till it is coming back to the ocean by the gravity, till that time it is having separate entity, existence, that it is a drop, It is a wave, it is a bigger wave, it is a smaller wave, it is thick wave, it is thin wave, it is dense wave, it is lesser dense wave. So it means it has existence only till it is coming back by gravity to merge into ocean. Similarly, all manifested values in the nature, they are nothing but impulses of that ultimate and that Paramatma, that supreme power, that unity consciousness, that unified field, where this individual impulse has come from and will be merged into. So if we understand that, then we can understand that when Vedic science says Yatinam Brahma Bhavati Sarthi, if we surrender our consciousness to that supreme nature which is running the universe, then everything starts happening spontaneously in a holistic, perfect manner. This can look strange, but this is called being, science of being. Everything doing is stopped now, because doing indulges ego, self-imposition. But self-imposition, when self comes through, then self will have certain degree, certain level of consciousness. Because self itself makes one separate from the total entity. And how? Because self defines itself in some definitions. This is me, this is mine, this is it, this is, this much is mine, this much is. So all these definitions, they define the self, and this definition, limitizes the limit of selves. So what happens? This becomes limited. And when decisions are taken as per this limited consciousness, things are not going to be that eternal, that profound, that perfect. So something not good will happen, something good can happen, something. But if Yatinam Brahma Bhavati Sarthi means, if that consciousness is surrendered, and surrendered doesn't mean that you leave it. Surrender means you are connected holistically with that supreme consciousness, so that every action now is being governed by that supreme consciousness, which is running perfectly, which is running profoundly, which is running comprehensively, the nature, the complete nature, universe, galaxies and all that. So when one is in tuned with that, when one is entangled quantum mechanically with that, so what happens? Whatever best is decided for that manifested object or manifested life, that starts happening. It means one starts to live life holistically. And why one will move towards that? That is called samskaras in Vedic sciences, in traditional values, that is called samskaras. All those thoughts, all those impulses, all those trainings, all those good things, all those things are conveyed to the child, and it goes to the memory of that child, and it takes a place like a seed in the consciousness of that child, and that is called samskara. And gradually, it is said, Shraddhavanam labde jnanam sanshayatma vinashyati. It means, Shraddhavanam labde jnanam. It means, if that thought, that memory, that samskara is embedded in the consciousness of the individual child, very delicately, very profoundly, with absolute devotion, that is called Shraddha Vanam Labde Jnanam. It means, if that totality, Shraddha means simply opening your consciousness holistically to the whole. It is welcoming unconditionally the whole, the totality. So when the Shraddha is generated, the faith is generated holistically, that is the impulse that is called samskara. And that is embedded definitely, very definitely, it is established in the consciousness of that child, And that becomes the sort of permanent memory. Like reflex action, we don't do anything, body works automatically. So when it goes to that deepest level of consciousness, the thought starts working as reflex action, then it becomes the deep-rooted samskara. It won't go. So what happens? All these people, they start functioning in very different manner. And so many scientific results have shown that the people who are having faith, who are dedicated, faith of any kind, when a person who are indulged in worshipping something or who are dedicated to something, those who are indulged in praying deeply, they become less sick. They are more tolerant to stresses. Less cardiac problems happen. Less diseases happen to those persons. What does it mean? Because when a person lives with the self, with limited self, then whatever good or bad goes to that limited self. And stress is generated. Because when you have a small room, then whatever capacity your small room has, as soon as anything of that quantity comes, it is full now. So now it doesn't have space. So when you are full of stresses, complexes, strains, complexes, so what happens? One is saturated. Now negative things starts happening. In physiology, in psychology, in all those, on mental level, on physical level and other levels. But if a person is living on the level of whole, yati nam brahma bhavati sarthi, as God itself becomes charioteer, God himself becomes as a charioteer, thyself, if that totality becomes charioteer of the consciousness, then one doesn't have the limited boundaries, limited walls, limited dimension of that room. The room of the consciousness becomes infinite. And when room becomes infinite, then it has the capacity to absorb anything of 10 to the power n to accommodate that. So, how negativity will happen to that person, which is not having boundaries of limited dimension of rooms, when a person is having room of infinite dimensions, then it means that person is having the potential to absorb infinity, whether it is negativity, infinity of negativity or whatever. So negative effects are not capable to affect these sort of persons. And that's why the person who are dedicated, who are living life of that sort, they become divine. They become happy. You find a typical bliss, typical happiness, typical smile on those faces, because now they are no more doer. Now they start living life in a form of being. Everything starts happening. Whatever potential they got, they perform everything best of the potential given to them by Mother Nature. So this is the quality of samskara, and that is abstract, but it has very, 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 very practical material value. So that's why if we want to live life holistically, then quantum mechanical theory, they are step by step coming closer to Vedic science. Now, well, let us wait to see quantum mechanics to come to reach its fullest level, or just enjoy life according to Vedic science, according to Vedic Vangmaya. And because that is the total absolute knowledge which is aligned with natural laws, and when one starts enjoying those things, then one starts living life holistically. So quantum mechanics, the modern science, they are the classical physics now when quantum mechanics is introduced in 1900, then people started questioning classical physics, because particle wave, they start behaving in different manner. It was not according to classical physics. Now when quantum mechanics came, then the steps of quantum mechanics, as soon as they start happening, definitions, they started to change. Perception started to change. But all those things are there in Vedic science, Advait Vedanta, in all Vedas, Rig Veda, Samved, Yajurveda, Tharved. These are basic sciences. These are basic principles. These are basic natural laws, which tells us how the absolute converts into sound, sound converts into wave, wave converts into particle, particle multiplies itself, ekoham bahushyami, then whole periodic table is made, and before Big Bang it talks about everything which was there before Big Bang, because Big Bang happened in something, and something is required to happen to make Big Bang happen. So in Vedic science, the whole circle is described, how absolute nothingness, which is the potential of everythingness, it is started by an impulse, and by creating wave, particles, sound, condensed form of sound, matter, different multiplied values of matter, and how it functions, how the Jad and Chetan, how the animate and inanimate object took place, how organized, in an organized way it started growing, and how it merges. Everything is there, and that is what is there in with all chronological details in the Puranas. Puranas are not merely stories. It tells about the chronology. It has every Purana has 5 things. It has time, chronology, and all those things. So in Vedic science, in Purana, the origin of universe and how sequentially the universe developed, how multiplied in diversified form it develops. Every, like in physics, chemistry, biochemistry, this science, that science, accordingly all the Puranas are there. This is Shiv Puran, this is Vishnu Puran, this is Agni Puran, this is Matsya Puran. These are the various manifested dimensions of nature, which are described in very thoroughly systematic way. The Puranas are not the mythological things. It is absolutely sequential unfoldment of that knowledge which tells us how absolute manifested itself in many, many, many forms. So like if we are dealing with any object and we see it, then it is physics. We see the color, we see the shape, we see the specific gravity and all that. But if the same object is seen from the perspective of chemistry, then we don't go on the shape of that. We go on the biochemical structure of that. So the same object is seen differently on the chemical properties and this and that. But when we see the same object from the perspective of applied value, when chemistry becomes pharmacy, when chemicals are going to be used as a medicine, then we are not seeing the color, the form of the shape of the that object. We see the applied value, applied aspects of those, and that is all pharmacy, So, but the same object is, if we see the literature of the same object by different subject, described in different subject, then we might say that, the same object is derived here in different manner, and here in different manner, here in different manner. But the thing is, that is the physics of that object, that is the chemistry of that object, and another is the dimension, perception of the applied value of that object. That's why all these things are different. So similarly in Puranas, we shouldn't say that the same thing is differently described here, different is, because the perception, the point of view, the angle of seeing things are different in different Puranas. So if we try to understand Vedic science, we'll have to go it thoroughly, sequentially, gradually, and with very clear mind that this is the physical aspect of thing, this is chemical aspect of thing, this is biological aspect of thing, this is pharmacological aspect of thing, this is applied aspect of thing. That's why all these Puranas are made. And when we go on intellectual level, then all the Upanishads are, they analyze things on different plane on intellectual level. So if we try to understand Vedic science, then we'll have to understand it from the perception of the holistic phenomena, how absolute manifests itself and how gradually things grow and how gradually things merge. That is Lay and Pralay. And that is the holistic value of Vedic science. If we understand Vedic science holistically, then no question will be left. Now, like in classical physics and quantum mechanical physics, the split experiment, then more experiments, then a theory of uncertainty and all that. So all these things which are developing step by step, if we come and we see the Vedic literature holistically, thoroughly, innocently, without any prejudices, without any ego, without any negative things. If we go through Vedic science holistically with very clear mind, then everything is there in very holistic, compound and complete manner. Whether it is the origin of universe or origin of a species or the development or the problems or the solutions of every level, whether it is physical, mental, spiritual, natural, social, economical, intellectual, whatever, because that is the sequential development of Vedic science, which deals with non-matter state, then gradually to wave state, then particle state, then sound state, then condensed state, then organic and inorganic state, biological state. Gradually it grows to manifested values of various varieties, then how it grows, how it functions, how deficiencies are substituted by different values, whether it is sound, whether it is matter, whether it is vegetation, whether it is chemical, whether it is rasayanas, whether it is minerals. So that is all dealt in Vedic science in the form of Ayurveda, in the form of SthapatyaVed, in the form of all medicinal property in Ayurveda. All the radiational properties, how radiations they convert into matter, they in SthapatyaVed. How sounds convert into different matter and different things, that is described in Samaveda. In Dhanurveda, all the yagyas and how things are converted from physical level, material level to gaseous level, to more finer atomic level, more subatomic level, all those things are described in yagyas. So if we try to understand the holistic value from origin of universe, how it functions and how it merges again to the ultimate value, that is the holistic value of Vedic science. And all those things are, when embedded in the consciousness, those become samskaras, and those consciousness when start living life with that totality, then that sanskara itself guides the consciousness to its fullest value. Then a person who lives life with those things lives life completely with absolute physical perfection, mental peace, bliss, and spiritual evolvement to the fullest level. That is the perfection of samskara, the quantum entanglement or superposition of whatever is described in quantum mechanics or unified field. That is the Brahma, that is the totality, that is the truth, that is the ultimate reality of life, that is described in Vedic science holistically.